Daedalus was an incredibly talented architect and inventor, so talented that King Minos of Crete didn't want to let him return to his home in Athens. Instead, the king kept him as a prisoner. Daedalus lived with his son Icarus in a tower of the palace, and King Minos forced him to create weapons of war that would make his army and navy even stronger than they already were. Although Daedalus and Icarus had everything they could possibly want, Daedalus desperately wished to go back home to Athens. His son barely remembered the city, but he also wanted to leave because he longed to run and play in the open, instead of being stuck in a tower all day. Daedalus looked out over the waves of the Mediterranean Sea, and he realized that even if they managed to escape from the tower and find a small boat, they wouldn't be able to sail very far before being spotted and captured by one of King Minos' ships. He thought for a long time about how they could escape, and finally, he came up with a plan. This is what he did. He told King Minos that he needed feathers and wax for a new invention he was working on. When these materials were brought to him, he took them up to the roof of the tower. There he arranged the feathers into 4 rows, starting with the smallest feathers and following them with the larger ones, so they formed gentle curves. He then began to stick the feathers together with thread in the middle and wax at the base. While he was working, Icarus played with the wax, squishing it between his fingers, and when the feathers blew away in the breeze, he ran after them and caught them. When Daedalus had finished, he showed Icarus what he had made. He had turned the feathers into 2 pairs of wings. He fastened the larger pair to his arms and started flapping them until his feet lifted off the ground and he began to hover in the air. Icarus laughed with delight and couldn't wait to try out the smaller pair of wings. Over the next few days, both father and son practiced flying until little Icarus was almost as good as his father. Then one morning Daedalus said to Icarus, "Now son, we're ready to leave this island for good. We'll fly home to Athens. Although you've become quite good at flying, you must remember that it can be very dangerous. Listen carefully to my instructions and make sure you follow them exactly. Always follow me, because I will lead the way home. Don't stray off on a different path, or you'll soon get lost. Don't fly too low, or your wings will absorb moisture from the sea and become too heavy, causing you to sink. And don't fly too high, or the sun will heat the wax, and your wings will fall apart. Do you understand everything I've said?" Little Icarus nodded to show his father that he understood. Then Daedalus led his son up to the top of the tower, and like a bird leading her young from the nest for the first time, he jumped into the air and flapped his wings. Icarus followed soon after. If a fisherman or shepherd had looked up at that moment, they would have seen 2 very unusual birds hovering above the waves. They likely would have thought they had spotted 2 winged gods. Who could have believed that a mortal father and son had mastered the art of flight? They flew over the sea, and at first Icarus felt scared because he had never flown very far during their practice sessions, but soon he realized he was really good at flying. In fact, it was the most fun he had ever had. He started to swoop up and down with the seagulls. Wow! It was incredible! His father turned around and called, "Icarus, be careful!" And for a while after that, Icarus obeyed his father and flew behind him. But then his wings caught a warm air current, and he found that he could soar upwards almost effortlessly. This was the life. He was floating so high above the waves that the ships below looked like tiny specks. His father called up to him, "Icarus, remember what I told you, come down right now." But Icarus couldn't hear him, and his father couldn't catch up to him. Icarus was far too close to the sun, and soon the wax that held the feathers together started to melt. Gradually, his wings began to lose their shape, and some of the feathers even started to fall off. Icarus flapped his arms frantically, but it was too late. He had lost the ability to fly, and he plunged down into the sea.